I fell in love at the age of 7. Yes, you heard that right. The first time I fell in love, I was just 7 years old. The girl I fell in love with was my friend's neighbor. Their family lived 4 blocks away from our house. Even after 30 years, I can still feel her presence, like she's somewhere in the background of my thoughts. I've always had a crush on curvy, fair-skinned girls with long, sleek hair. The kind that smells like heaven, like their lotion or shampoo is part of their soul. Maria was just 7, same as me. That was the first time I felt love, though I didn't know exactly what it was back then. I just felt better whenever I saw her. That was the only thing I understood. We joined the others to play hide and seek. It was just a game, but every time she was near, the world seemed softer. I was too young to understand why. Too young to say anything. I never told her how I felt. I wouldn't have even known what to say. Back then, it was enough to have her in my dreams. They weren't strange or inappropriate dreams, just dreams where she was there, simple and innocent. Sometimes I ran after her in those dreams, as if catching her would explain the feeling in my chest. Other times we just sat there saying nothing. I didn't need much. I don't remember every detail now. It has been years, but I do remember how she made me feel. Warm, safe, like something important I didn't want to lose. Looking back, I wonder if there's some truth to Sigmund Freud's theory, the Oedipus complex. It wasn't intentional, but I've always been drawn to girls who looked, in some way, like my mom. Not exactly, but enough to make me think about it now. Curvy girls, fair skin, long, straight hair. It's always been my type. I've asked myself why that is, but the only explanation I can come up with is that it feels familiar. It's like choosing a pillow. A big, soft pillow feels better to rest your head on. It holds you, supports you. A skinny, flat pillow just feels rough in comparison, like something's missing. And that's the logic my mind seems to follow, even if it's strange to compare love to a pillow. But back then, I didn't think about it like that. At 7 years old, I didn't think about any of these things. She was just Maria, someone who made everything feel better when she was around. In those days, I only noticed that kind of girl. Curvy, long-haired, soft smiles. That was the type I thought I'd always love. The only type I felt drawn to. But now that I'm older, I've learned that beauty doesn't follow a single pattern. Every woman has her own kind of beauty. They all have their own unique scent, like flowers in a garden. I've grown to see that. Some flowers you admire from a distance, but others, no matter how beautiful, you leave alone because you simply don't feel drawn to them. At the end of the day, love isn't something you force, and beauty isn't something you measure. I've realized this now. Back then, though, all those years ago, it was her, only her, Maria. Damn it. At 9 years old, I fell in love again. But no, that's wrong. It wasn't love at all, it was lust, pure, simple lust. Looking back, that's all it could have been. I'm sure of it. I've always been able to tell the difference, though. Love and lust are two different things, really. It's like having a special sense, a unique kind of perception. A power, almost. I can always tell. I've even told my girlfriends, this kiss, it's lust. Or this hug, this is love. Honest. I've always been honest about it. Maybe not all men can do that, but I can. It's just, there's a feeling, a switch flips, and I know. Until I was 23, though, I was messed up. I had this misogynistic view, didn't know why, just thought women were less. It was crazy and I didn't even realize it. Then, something clicked. I finally understood why I thought that way and why so many other guys do too. I could make a video about it for my channel. Why guys are misogynistic. It would be a clickbait title, but the content would be real talk. I've fallen in love many times since then. Too many, maybe, but I always knew the difference. Love or lust, since I was 9. Even now I can look at a couple and tell you which it is. I've got a radar for that sort of thing. My advice for guys, listen up. Think you're in love? Get laid as soon as possible. If you still feel it after that, maybe. Just maybe it's real. I say maybe because lust is sneaky. It plays tricks on you, like dimples, stupid dimples. You see a girl with dimples and your brain goes haywire. A dopamine rush. You get addicted to the dimples, not the girl. It's lust in disguise. You've got to watch out for that. I've never had too many girlfriends, maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7. If I try to count them all, the number might stretch to 10 or 12 at most. But when I talk about smells, about fragrances like shampoo or lotion, only one girlfriend comes to mind. Even now, I can still feel her scent in my nose, like it's lingered all these years. That's something you rarely forget, the smell and the essence of someone you've loved. When you love someone, truly love them, their fragrance stays with you. It's on your pillow, your bed, even your old t-shirt. For years, you still feel it as though they're nearby. If I could see her one more time, hug her, or bury my face into her neck until I overdose on that scent and die from it, that I bet is love. Real love, not lust. If you ask me, love is about the first love, the first real raw emotion. Everything that comes after, the other relationships, it feels more like a humanized, logical way to express feelings. A mix of emotions, addiction, and lust. But the first time you fall in love, it's different. For me, the first real love came when I was 18 or 19 in college. I made mistakes. When you choose the wrong person, even unknowingly, it's as if you've thrown your energy away, wasted it all on something unfair. I don't regret anything. Not my choices nor my pain, but after that first love, you rarely feel the same emotions again. Moving forward feels different. You start to look like an old dad trying to keep up with a juvenile child. You lose the energy, the innocence of it. Because, let's be honest, first-time experiences are unforgettable. The first love, the first kiss, the first girlfriend or boyfriend, the first job, the first salary, the first food you cook. Everything. It stays with you like an imprint, like it's written in your soul. I, for one, will never forget the first kisses I shared with her. But even so, my heart still feels tied to my youth's girlfriend. She was the one I cheated on, 4 or 5 times. Yes, I cheated, me, but I wasn't a cheater at heart. I don't think I inherently have the traits of someone who cheats. Still, I cheated on her, and I regret that. I might tell you the reason someday, but even now, I still think of her. Maybe it was because she wasn't sexually compatible with me, or because I couldn't see her as often as I wanted. Maybe she was too childish, even at 24, 25, 26, 27. All these problems, all these maybes, but still, I think she was the only girl I ever wanted to spend my life with. She had her flaws, but I wasn't perfect either. Honestly, I was probably at my worst back then. I was a mess, but she would have made a good wife, even if she wasn't a good girlfriend. I don't regret anything in my life, not really. But I'm telling you this because I haven't truly liked anyone since her. I haven't felt those kinds of feelings again. I haven't even been in the mood to start a serious relationship. There have been things, encounters, but nothing serious. Nothing I ever counted on. And now I hate going on dates. I just hate them. They feel stupid. Meeting someone new, asking stupid, surface-level questions, hearing stupid, rehearsed responses. I don't have the eagerness for it anymore. I don't have the motivation to spend my time like that. Instead, I prefer a gradual, unintentional kind of relationship. What I mean is, a relationship that forms without you even knowing or wanting it to. That's the best kind. Because in the first step, I'm not really attracted to anyone. And it's been years since I decided to stop following just my lust. I'm looking for something deeper now, something real. Men think being strong in bed is everything. I am terribly strong in that, but I've learned many things during these last 17 years. One of the most important is this. I could never express my proper feelings in the proper way. I never learned how. I never saw it growing up, expressing feelings properly. Nobody taught me how to open up, how to be vulnerable, how to let someone see what I truly hold inside. Saying I love you isn't enough. Even adding a kiss with it it's still not enough. Real working love, the kind that gives joy to both people in the relationship, is beyond all of that. Love needs effort, real effort. A relationship doesn't keep itself alive on good days alone. It's built to withstand bad days, quarrels, squabbles, fights, breakups, and everything in between. Until I turned 28, I couldn't hold a conversation with any of my girlfriends for longer than 6 minutes. Exactly 300 seconds in, and the fights would start, every single time. At first I thought it was their fault. The first girlfriend, her fault. The second, again I thought, her fault. But when the same story kept repeating itself, I realized something. Maybe they had problems, but I did too. I started reviewing those conversations, rethinking my behavior. I learned something painful. I was a misogynist. I didn't think I was, and I certainly didn't mean to be, but I was. Always. It showed in the way I spoke without me noticing it, but the girls picked up on it. I know now that some women may tolerate a slight, unintentional misogyny before starting a relationship. It gives the illusion that the man is confident, self-assured. But in a relationship, showing arrogance, being supercilious, sounding misogynistic, it's stupid, completely stupid, and I didn't notice. I didn't mean it, but I didn't see it either. Those two things, arrogance and misogyny, were part of the real me back then, something I couldn't completely rid myself of. And because of that, my relationships always ended the same way. Fights, anger, breakups. I took the easiest route every time, telling myself, this is who I am. If they love me, they'll have to accept it, otherwise they can leave. That mindset, take me as I am or leave me, works when you're still a mama-ass boy. But a real gentleman thinks completely differently. A real gentleman knows that love demands growth, self-awareness, and respect. I've realized something else too. A man with no money, no social rank, and no good job is not treated well, not even by his mother. This isn't about materialism or calling women gold diggers. It's deeper than that. As men, we have to ask ourselves an honest question, a private, personal question. What's the outcome of my life so far? What have I produced with these years I've lived? I ask this question now at 37. If someone asked me what I've achieved, what the fruit of my life is, my honest answer would be nothing. I've done many things. I've helped people, accomplished tasks, and built all sorts of experiences. But something truly rewarding, something unforgettably valuable, nothing. I don't want to talk about going to college, earning a degree, or the other ordinary things people accomplish in life. Those are basic milestones, things everyone does. But when I ask myself if there's something special that I've created or achieved as a man, something I want to define me, the answer is no, there's nothing like that. Even when I count the small things, there are many. But there's nothing powerful enough to make me say, at 37, this is it. This is something that marks my life as extraordinary. And that's where I am now, searching, still searching, for something meaningful to define myself by. I've always loved tech and software, but none of my partners ever shared that interest. Whenever I talked about technology, about things I was passionate about, they were indifferent, not eager, not curious. Most of the time, I had my own plans, my own hobbies, things that kept me going. But neither in conversation nor in life did we ever share the same goals, the same targets. What mattered to me wasn't in their world, wasn't in their orbit. And so when I talked, when I tried to connect, it always felt like I was talking to myself. But it doesn't really matter whether you re a man or a woman, because this isn't tea about telling you how to be a good partner. No, this is about something deeper. In this reflection, I'm not going to give you advice on relationships, how to be a good lover or husband or wife or whatever. Instead, I'm going to talk about life, how to create the kind of life where the right partner, the kind you truly need, will eagerly want to join you. I've seen social media channels everywhere, Pages teaching people how to seduce others, how to make yourself irresistible, how to manipulate attraction, whether it's men or women. These things aren't new. Sure, they seem to work. Psychologically, they have their playbook, their strategies, but in the end, all those tactics do is help you get what you think you want, not what you actually need. They never help you create the kind of life that lasts, that can be enjoyed, that grows into something meaningful over years. Years ago, I was in the worst place. I was drowning in debt, severely overweight, and looked far older than my actual age. Depression was like a heavy burden, tied to me with invisible chains. Chains no one could see, but I could feel every single moment of every single day. I couldn't even get up from my bed. I spent only a few hours awake to eat something, maybe watch the clock on the wall, and then fell back into the black hole, back into sleep. That depression, it was suffocating, but I knew one thing. I wouldn't let this continue. I wouldn't let it drag me down forever. No matter how deep it had dug into my soul, no matter how heavy the chains felt, I knew somehow I'd figure out a way to separate my mind from my broken, exhausted body. I'd find a way to keep myself alive. It's hard to explain how my mind felt back then. It was like a Pentium 3 computer CPU running non-stop, endlessly processing, endlessly battling itself. Picture this, the fan running day and night, overheating, struggling, while the monitor shows a blank black screen, static and empty. That was my mind, working non-stop while the body carrying it barely held together. I wanted so badly to turn it off, to stop the noise, to disconnect the wires inside me. My body couldn't take the suffering anymore, couldn't bear the weight of my mind. I felt so close to the edge. I almost saw the death angel, the grim reaper, but for me in that moment it wasn't grim at all. It was a real angel. I just wanted to get rid of the burden, to let go, to finally rest. Life, I realized then, is like a train. As soon as you're born, your life's journey begins with this train. It may have a destination already set, or maybe you get to choose the destination yourself. Maybe you even get to create the stations along the way, designing your own path. It's all up to you. But most people in the world don't realize that they are their own train. They think they're just passengers, waiting to be taken somewhere, not understanding they're the engine, the conductor, the whole damn railroad company. I was struggling. My body clock was completely out of sync. I couldn't stay awake for more than 2 hours at a stretch. My energy was gone, my motivation drained. I was burning out, and burning out fast. Then came the moment I had to act. I wrote an email. I was ready to quit. Hey Dan, I don't want to leave you high and dry. For the past 10 months, I've been working weekends non-stop, not even a single day off. I loved the job, I loved the challenges, but I can't continue. I'm beyond burnout. If you don't accept my resignation, I'll behave unprofessionally, leave everything and disappear. I won't respond to anyone. I'm sorry, Dan. I've always tried my best to save the project and make everything run smoothly, but now I'm not in a good place at all. I hope you understand this. That email, it forced the CEO to accept my resignation. Honestly, I had problems with the team I was managing. I couldn't deal with it anymore. The salary, the application, the things I was learning, those were the only reasons I kept working on that stupid project for 10 months. Nobody supported me. I bet anyone else in my position wouldn't have lasted even one more day. But then, something shifted. She was mingling around me in the mountains. I go hiking every weekend, early in the morning at 5 a.m. You might say I'm crazy, but you'd never understand the feeling, the real rush of adrenaline, the dopamine. When your muscles are working, they produce dopamine and serotonin. I've heard that before, read about it in books, but on those mountain trails, I felt it. I experienced it deep in my blood and flesh. Also, when you work out regularly, you forget about the confidence and fitness it gives you. It paves the way for a testosterone release, and then you get turned on. So, if you have sexual arousal problems, I say, do some sports rather than taking medication. Forget the little blue pills. Sweat, push your body and find your libido again. When you're depressed, it's incredibly difficult to break free, especially when you're taking 30 pills a day. The first time my psychiatrist prescribed that dosage, I said, "Doctor, if I take this many pills every day, I'll die." And the doctor responded, "You told me you wanted to commit suicide. If you commit suicide, you'll kill yourself. Now just take the medication, and if you die, you'll achieve your suicidal target." What the doctor told me was logical enough. I wanted to kill myself, so it wasn't a bad idea to take some medication. It would either kill me or get rid of this suffering. And the pills, after a month of tolerating the side effects which were manageable, worked. Before taking the pills, I had forgotten what motivation even looked like. Everything was terribly dark, and I wanted to end it all. After taking the pills, the world slowly changed. I talked more, talked better, and talked with more positivity. But that didn't last long. These medications only work for a short time, and you always need to add more doses. After a while, they have little to no effect on you. After taking those pills for 6 years, I felt like I was swallowing empty capsules. They didn't do anything anymore, so I stopped taking them and got worse and worse every day. I was tired of taking medication. After 6 years, the pills only worked a little. Imagine trying to light up the world with a damp match. So I gave up on the medication and prepared for the darkest days of my life. At 5 a.m., she was mingling around. Mountain hikers or climbers who go to the mountain alone, those are the people I admire the most. Usually they're more confident, stronger in attitude, and undoubtedly have seen bad days and overcome them. If you ask me, a person who goes to different places alone and doesn't feel bad, that person is unbeatable, strong, especially if that person is a girl. She was alone. For me, it doesn't matter whether I go to the mountains with a friend or alone, but I never skip it. At least once a week I hike or climb. That's my space. But what caught my attention that day wasn't just her presence, it was her strength, her independence. She was white, with sleek hair, curvy, and standing tall at 3,000 feet above sea level. That perfectly sculpted backside is a symphony of curves, and it's playing my favorite song. Not that the curves were the main reason I was attracted to her, but let's admit they were effective enough. Still, beyond the curves was the fact that I've always had a crush on strong, independent women. And up there on the rocky terrain, climbing alone at such heights, she showed qualities that could create the perfect partner. Confidence, independence, and yes, those curves, both above and below. With curves like hers, both up top and at the back, it made me imagine that her unseen parts would be just as gorgeous, I thought. She had everything I could ever want. But what truly set her apart was her independence and confidence, qualities that far outweighed shallow, instinct-driven animalistic traits that appeal only to base desires. But let's get back to my own train. I told you, life is a train with a destination. You either set that destination yourself and work to control it, or the train controls you. First, you need to figure out where you're heading, and then you fight to take control over the train. After standing up on my own feet, after climbing out of those dark, gloomy depression days, I set the train's destination. And after those harsh, unbearable days, I managed to take control of it. That's when I realized I could choose my travel companions. Companions could be anyone, your parents, your friends, your neighbors, or anyone you decide to stay in touch with. But the choice is yours. Rather than focusing on things I had no control over, I focused on myself. I lost 20 kilograms. Started a business, small at first, but it was earning decent money over time. Slowly, step by step, I transformed myself from a boy into a gentleman. I say gentleman because I began shaping and forming my own life. I had vivid plans and was working toward them, both long-term and short-term goals. Every day I woke up, I knew what I needed to do. I learned so much. about life, about people, about how to behave with others. But more importantly, I asked the big questions. Who am I? What do I want from this world? So, I set my goals. I wasn't the same person I had been. The old me was gone. Honestly, I know all the dark black methods for seducing women, making them addicted to me. I didn't study or learn these methods intentionally, but through my normal behavior in past relationships, I figured them out. It's not difficult. Once mastered, it just happens naturally. Some people use these techniques without even realizing they're doing it. But here is the truth. I stopped focusing on relationships and focused on my own life instead. I learned how to choose the right people to join me on my journey. In that sense, I was lucky. When I talk about my ex-girlfriends, I can honestly say they were all good girls. The problem wasn't them, the problem was me. I didn't know how to handle my life. And because I couldn't handle my life, I definitely couldn't handle a relationship. So here's the lesson I've learned. If you want a good relationship, the first thing you need to do is work on yourself. You have to know who you are and where you're heading. Once you know your destination, you need to walk toward it. And along that journey, you'll find the right people. But the key is to have already created the gentleman within you. If you haven't done that, even if you find the right partner, you'll lose them. And later on, when you're older and looking back on your life, you'll regret it deeply. Let me share with you my own experience. Life is complex. It has so many layers, so many aspects. Relationships, they're just one part of it. And if you have plans, goals, and dreams for your life, you should never waste your time with rudimentary, meaningless distractions. But before diving into relationships, you have to prepare yourself. You need a foundation, and I'm telling you now, relationships need thought, patience, and planning. And if you think relationships are perfect, where everything is smooth, no fights, no challenges, no misunderstandings, I'd say something's wrong somewhere. Perfection is a lie. Real love demands chaos sometimes, demands struggle. Without that, it's empty. And here's an even more important truth. You cannot invite your soulmate into ruins. If your life is in shambles, if you have flaws and drawbacks you can't accept in yourself, why would anyone else? Fix them. Work on them. That's step one. Build yourself so you can build something with someone else. Because if you want a proper, suitable partner, someone who really adds to your life, you need to be the same for them in return. You need to be the kind of person they'll look at and say, yes, I can trust you with my life. If you approach a relationship broken, unready, insecure, you'll ruin it. You'll lose the person destiny tried to send your way. This video doesn't end here. Stay tuned, because in the series that follows, I'll go deeper into everything. First, I'll tell you what love actually is, how to define it, how to control it, and maybe even how to get rid of it if it's not what you want. Then, in the next part, I'll teach you how to become a good partner yourself, the kind of partner you would want to be with. And after that, I'll show you how to figure out whether the person you're choosing is actually suitable for you. I guarantee if you follow my steps, take this advice seriously, and look inward before you look outward, you'll find the best partner for you. That's what I promise. That's what I bet on. And finally, in the comments below, ask your questions, share your thoughts, and be ready for what comes next. We'll explore this together. This isn't just about relationships. It's about life and becoming the kind of person who can thrive in it. So stay tuned, because the best is yet to come.